tomorrow. But I'm excited about coming back to Ghana. And one other African country invited me to come hang out. I'll tell you about it in 30 seconds. What's happening, everybody? Jay here. I've not been live in a minute because if you've been following my YouTube channel, I've been rolling. I've been getting some things done, and I'm wrapping up for the summer adventure that I've been on, getting geared up for the fall adventure, and going to be inviting you and anyone else who has not been a part of the Maximum Impact Travel Gateway to Africa experience right here in Ghana. You are officially invited to join me on one of 3 tours coming up this fall. And all I can say is check out MaximumImpactTravel.com and for the details. Make sure you join us. I mean, what can I say? To be able to bring this many people to Africa, if you will, during a pandemic, and for people to have had experiences, made connections, the whole 9 throughout this whole process. I really can't put it into words. You know, it's because the thing, that's what I try to tell people all the time, is that people will project their fears, and they're well-intentioned. You know, they're not trying to be whatever. But people will project their fears, and they will do it with, again, with good intentions, saying, well, I'm trying to do it to look out for you. But the one thing I have learned in this experience is that you got to do what you got to do. And everybody else might not understand what it is that you're supposed to do. When I embarked upon, because I said I was going to take this summer off from doing my summer camp, even though I think I joke with some folks that were a part of the, I forget which tour it was. I said I thought I was taking off the summer, you know, and so I still had summer camp right there in front of me. But I go based off of instincts and momentum. And when I say instincts and momentum, it's like I knew that 2021, summer 2021 was a window really that would open the door for 2022 and 2023. Again, I plan with pencil because you never know what life presents. So you just, obviously you don't, you do that because anything can change. But what I have seen in the past 3 months is nothing short of amazing. Because when I was in South Africa, it was all right. We went from Sierra Leone, South Africa, back to Ghana, but it was in Ghana. Let's go back to November. Tanzania, then Cote d'Ivoire, then Ghana, then Sierra Leone, then South Africa, and then Ghana. Back to the U.S. for a minute, back to Ghana. Been in Ghana this whole time, but I've been all around Ghana. And this has been the greatest educational experience. And this is just one African country, just one, the greatest educational experience I can think of. And, when you have Ghanaians saying, wait a minute, you know more about Ghana than I do. And Ghanaians come up to you and say that. That's only because I've just traveled around and they haven't traveled to some of these different places. But it's really a compliment to say that you embrace our culture, you embrace us, and we embrace you. And that is what has been the overwhelming response in Ghana. It's yeah, the overwhelming response, so much so that it inspires people back in the US, because my whole thing is to bridge the gap, so to be a bridge. And the reason why I spend so much time here is to learn the culture and learn the aspects. And guess what? It's not just one culture, because I did an interview with Ruby Boa today of Kua, and we were talking about the different cultures that exist within like one area. So you'll have the different tribes. Now I know the different tribes, or some of them, I should say, because I don't know them all. But like even in some of the interviews, I can listen to a name now and say, okay, your name, you must be from the north. There are some names that are really, kind of synonymous with the Akan tribe, and you kind of know, okay, you must be, where are you from? Or I know the region. If you're from Cape Coast, chances are you're Fanti. If you're from Kumasi, chances are you're Ashanti. So stuff like that. You just kind of, if you're in Accra, there's a good chance you might be Ga. So it's stuff you begin to learn the regions, and you begin to learn the traffic patterns. You begin to learn just a lot, and that's priceless. That is priceless, especially when you grow up in a culture that tells you everything is bad about a particular place. And I think I walk away from this particular experience more confident in just the journey. I mean, it's like I did a talk the other day talking about how there are people in America talking about the slave trade didn't happen. I said, them people, they smoking crack. They're on the worst form of crack that they got out there, really, because when you come here, there's no doubt. When you come here, a slave trade happened in what we know as America, and something happened over here too. It's not like it just happened over. You recognize. And when the interview that I'm going to air with that I did with Walter Maya, he talked about how. He said, we just didn't know. He said, I didn't know about what these dungeons represent. He said, I didn't know about what happened in Senegal and what happened. He said, I didn't know. He said, I said, they didn't teach you in school. He was like, no, teaching us in school. No, they didn't teach us this. And so there's so much, I'm telling you, there's so much misinformation. There's so much misinformation, y'all. It's out of control. It's so much like when I was talking, talking about coming back to the States. And they're like, are you excited to come back to the States? I said, I'm excited to see my family. Yeah, I'm excited. It's the longest they've been without seeing me, and this is so like, and everybody's grown. Now, all of my children are grown. Well, grown. One just crossed over, so you're not grown. But it's like, am I excited to come back into that environment where the dominant conversation is COVID-19? No, heck no, I'm not excited about coming into that, because over here, and everybody in their mind is automatically thinking whatever's happening in America must be happening in the rest of the world. And that's the thing that stands out to me, that being over here, I have not had COVID on the brain for 3 months, except that week when I came back to the US. And now I'm scared to do anything. I'm scared to move around. There's COVID this, COVID that. And so, and here, when you pull the numbers, just run the numbers, less than 1,000 deaths in Ghana. And you look at the amount of positive impact, and they're testing. So let's be very, very clear. These jokers test over here probably more than they do in America. So you getting off that plane, you getting tested. You getting ready to get back on that plane and leave, you getting tested. And so let's, no, they don't play around with it at all. And I think that's what made the difference, because they took it seriously. But unfortunately, a lot of times what happens in America is people try to project American foolishness on the rest of the world, and then they make their decision based upon American foolishness and say, well, that must be happening over there, and this is going on. And it's like, well, no. And even like in Nigeria, I pulled the numbers today, the same numbers they project in America, same places, the same numbers, so they're not different numbers, like less than 2,500 deaths, and they have a population of 200 million people. So, at 200 million plus, America has 330 some odd, maybe 340 population. So no, I'm not looking forward to that aspect of it. But when I do come back, I'm going to embark upon something I believe is important to this conversation, even as we talk about it with the African diaspora. I'm going to be going on a personal East Coast adventure because there's certain places I need to go and certain places I need to see. And something that, I'll bring it back up. I'll tell you where I'm going to be going when I get back. All right, I'm going to be going to Richmond, Virginia. Got a big interview coming up in Richmond, Virginia. Got another stop in Jamestown, Virginia, because that is the starting point that a lot of people use to say 1619 is when the first recorded enslaved people from Africa arrived on the shores of the United States. Then I'm going to Windsor, North Carolina. And the reason why Windsor, North Carolina is so important is because my father's side of the family, they are all from Windsor, North Carolina, and some, I think, and from there they migrated to Virginia Beach. Now it could be the other way around because it could have been Jamestown, and then they went down. And there's a whole lot of us in the Virginia Beach area. It's like we run Virginia Beach. That whole thing, that whole area is like, wow. So my father's side of the family, that's where when all the ancestry came up. This is how I know this stuff. This is how I know Ancestry and 23andMe and my heritage are legitimate. This is how I know, because I knew enough of my family history to do the family tree, to go back like great. That's about as far back as it would go. But the interesting thing would happen is that random people who would take Ancestry or 23andMe, they would connect to me genetically. And then when I would trace, so tell me who are you related to? Then they would be related to someone on the family tree. And so then I had nephews of mine that I knew they existed, but we never met each other. And then they would take the test, and then they would show up, and it would connect to me genetically. And then you have Jet Match and all of that. And I know some people are nervous and scared about it and worried about the government getting it. Let me tell you something. The government, if you went to go pee when you went to the doctor, or they withdrew blood when you went to the doctor, the government already has your DNA. If that's what you're worried about, well, they can't do such and such, and they can do whatever they want to do. That's how they'll lie to you and tell you that they can't do this or do that. And they'll take all the swabs, all these COVID tests running around. They got so much DNA, they could clone us all and make a big, incredible Hulk out of all of us if they want to. So, but again, everybody has their own opinion and all of that. So cool. Mine is that I don't particularly have a problem with it. I'm of the age now that if they want to clone me, then I feel sorry for them if they want to go down that road. But anyway, but seriously, I had so many people connect to me. So what I realized I wanted to do was to go and see some of these places, and places that I'd never been to. I've never been to Windsor, North Carolina, but that's where my family, I know they're from there. They have a road named after my father's side of the family. There's and then I just need to see it. I just need to see the area. I don't know if I'm going to be able to interview anybody. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to try to put some stuff together and make it happen. But I just know I need to go and do that. And then I'm going to, as they say down, so I'm moseying on down. I'm a mosey, whatever moseying is. If somebody can tell me what moseying is, I'm going to mosey on down through down through the coastline. And I'm going to end up in Charleston, South Carolina. And I was born in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm going to go to some of the Gullah Geechee locations. I'm going to catch up with my man, Ron. That's right, Ron Just. We met in Accra, Ghana last time. Now we're going to get together in Charleston, get some red rice and sit down and have a conversation. And then from there, head down to Savannah, Georgia, because this is all a part of the Gullah Geechee region. And so I'm a descendant of that. And that's the bottom line. And that's my connection to Sierra Leone, because Freetown and Charleston, Freetown, Sierra Leone, Charleston, South Carolina, they call them sister cities. That's the term because of the direct link between the two and the transatlantic slave trade. And of course, you got folks out here, the crack smokers out here talking about that didn't exist. But again, hey, so that's, go ahead and keep on to leave that stuff alone now. And so then by going there, I'm going to hit the islands, James Island, Johns Island, the different islands, and just kind of, and I want to go to some of the restaurants, because they have some restaurants down there that really have that. If you have not eaten food along the east coast of the Low Country in South Carolina. It is a different, it's a different vibe. That's all I can say. And I didn't think anything of it, because I grew up on it, so I know it. But when you come here, and I tell people all the time, when I come to Ghana, I say this food has a vibe to it that is so familiar. This thing is like it's a vibe. That's all I can say, and that's probably why I've settled in so easily, because I don't feel like a foreigner. Even though the spiciness of it is a little bit too much, sometimes it gets so. I tell them, I said, I got this old brony stomach happening. That's this old brony thing, this old bibinio brony stomach. So you got to work with this until, and that's basically a soft stomach. I say it like that. So it's like all the spiciness, but you know what? But it's like that jollof tastes real familiar. That wache tastes real familiar. It's something about that thing that's so familiar, and I mean, and that's the bottom line. I mean, it's something that that I can't deny. So from a cultural standpoint, and I shared this in my video when I was outside of the dungeon. From a cultural standpoint, I connect. From a genetic standpoint, I connect. From a in not only that, it's like it's even though the cultures are different and very different in some aspects, because I grew up in DC, so that's like a different culture than South Carolina. It's like, but there's so much familiarity there that I don't feel that thing, that thing. And of course, the more time you spend someplace, the more you connect to it. But I'm excited about going on that East Coast tour. I think my son said he wants to roll with me, so we'll see if he'll be down with being on camera, and he might be the extra camera person. We'll see how that rolls. But I'm definitely thankful for all the people who came on the tours this summer. We have great footage. We just have it was just a great experience. Everyone made it a great experience. And I'm looking forward to you, if you have not been on one of these tours, joining me either in October, November. If we do decide to do a December tour, I won't be on that tour, but don't let that deter you, because our whole team is ready to serve and make sure that you have a great time. So it wouldn't be any different. And I'll let everybody know I'm not going to be on all of these tours. As a matter of fact, October, November, I'll be on those. If we decide to do December, I will not be on the December tour, but I do have a country. Yep. I received an invitation today from a country to come and visit and to see the lay of the land. And if you think you know which country it is, type it. I mean, let's see if you can, before I announce it. There's a country that has invited me to come hang out. And I'm excited about going to this country, because this country, let's be very clear, because a lot of times people want to make sure I know that the countries are new invention. I know Berlin in 1885. I know what they did. I know the Suez Canal is a man-made canal, which really technically has not separated Africa from Asia, but because it's still connected underneath, because it's just still connected. But for the sake of people understanding like regions, I definitely embrace the country so people know where I'm talking about. But anyway, I got an invitation from a country, and I believe it is probably the most demonized country in Africa. I just gave it away. I just gave it away. I just told you right there. But I'm determined to represent the highlights and the positive sides of this country. This particular country, according to the genetic tests that come back, I have the largest percentage of DNA that comes from this particular country. And so I'm excited to be going in the month of October to the country of Nigeria. I'll be going to Lagos, Nigeria. Nigeria, I'm coming your way. And we are going to shout out and represent all the positive aspects of everything that I see in Nigeria. I will tell you, Nigeria has such a bad rap, just in general, that I've had Nigerians tell me don't go to Nigeria. I've had South Africans tell me don't fool with Nigeria. I've had Ghanaians tell me that the problems they have in Ghana are because of the Nigerians. In America, I don't have to run down what they say about Nigerians in America. And that's the exact reason why I'm going. Because if I listen to what everyone else tells me, I will miss out. Because here's the flip side of all of that negativity about Nigeria. Nigeria is the wealthiest African country. Marriott has at least 4 or 5 Marriotts in Lagos alone. If Nigeria was so bad, why would Marriott be putting up these hotels and charging $200-300 a night in Lagos, Nigeria? If Nigeria was so bad, why did they have skyscrapers? Why do they dominate the entertainment industry? Why is there music? Why does everybody want to emulate Nigerian music if Nigeria was so bad? So I had to take off, some of this because, and now I'm not going naive. Now I'm not naive, and I do listen to when Nigerians tell me, hey, don't be out at night. I won't be out at night by myself. I'm not going over there trying to prove a point. I'm going there to learn. And I understand that I know how they demonize us in America and how they say we're lazy and how they say that we're, everybody's on welfare and lazy bums and have all these opportunities and don't do anything with it. And I'm saying, but if that were true, then why would, quote unquote, so-called African Americans be like the 13th wealthiest? If they pooled all of their money together, why would they be like the 13th wealthiest country in the world? If they were so lazy, if they were so pathetic, if they were all of these different things, why? And so I see this mind game that's being played across the board. Don't deal with them, they're bad. Don't deal with them, they're bad. They're going to scam you. They're going to do this. Now, flip side, yeah, a lot of that's true. I mean, you will get Nigerians to scam you, but I tell them, I said, I hear African Americans say, watch out for them Nigerians, they're going to scam you. I said, but some of the most scammingest people I've ever met are some of them African Americans, so you got to take it case by case. You got to take it people, person by person, and situation by situation. I'm not going to Nigeria naive. I will travel light and I will keep my stuff with me. I'm not, and then once I'm able to spend time in the culture, what my goal is to be able to report a different story. I told when the invitation was getting ready to come down, I was very honest. I said, Nigeria has a lot of work to do in the space of image for many people. And so what we're looking to sit down and do is to figure out how we can shape a better image for Nigeria. And let me say this now, even with all of that, I've never heard a Nigerian deny their Nigerianness either. Let me tell you something. Let me give you the other side of Nigerians outside of the negative side. They have a work ethic and a hustle that is vicious. It's like people used to joke and they used to say to me, well, Jay, you must be Jamaican because you do such and such and such. When I started getting into the history and the DNA, I said I might be a little bit more Nigerian than anything. And to really say that with pride, to say I have no problem with having a large percentage of Nigerian DNA. I have no problem with being a descendant of Sierra Leone. I have no problem of having, and even when the whole test and everything came back, having a lot of Ghanaian DNA as well. So the beautiful part about being from a descendant of the slave trade is the fact that you descend from so many different places, and there's nothing that's wrong with that. I embrace that. I embrace Cameroon and the Mafa tribe. I embrace Angola and Gabon And as you go further down, Botswana, you go down through South Africa. I embrace Kenya, because it's all these places all show up. Mali and Burkina Faso and Senegal, in the Gambia. I embrace all of that. Where a lot of folks are like, nah, anything else but that, anything else but that. But it's like when you come here and it's like I'm excited to be among the Timide tribe, which I know that I have origins from. I'm excited to be among the people and say, wow, I might not come from that particular, I don't know, but I know that my DNA links. And so that's something that when you can show up in the world and be like, hey, you know what? It is what it is. And embrace the positive aspects of all of it. And share that with people to say that you don't have to be ashamed of anything. I know people who've gotten their DNA results back and it said something about Nigeria and they were upset. Like, oh no, that's like the same person who like they thought they were Indian or something like that. That's how they say it. And I thought I was Indian. And then the thing came back and it was like, oh man, you 1%. Oh, okay, well, I'm 1%. Hey, you are 1%. That's cool. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I got about 1% myself. Okay, cool. But they thought, yeah, my great grandmother was Cherokee, and they found there wasn't no Cherokee in there. Nope, that wasn't no Cherokee. And Chuck, I don't want to mess up any names or anything like that, but it's like, yeah, we were told. I had a relative tell me that we were like of this particular indigenous American tribe, and that DNA came back. She did the DNA, and it didn't show up in her DNA. So I said, somebody lied to you. And then I had relatives talking about so and so was Italian, and I'm saying now, no, but that's the problem that we have is that we want to be anything but who we are because somebody told us that who we are is bad. So we're looking for anything that we're pulling on. We're reaching for this and reaching for that, and you never hear anybody coming from Europe talking about, yeah, I was for real, I'm African, for real. I'm really from like Central African Republic. I'm really from the Congo. You don't hear Europeans saying that. You don't hear Asians saying that. If anything, they're like, look, I'm from Germany. I'm from Ireland. I'm from, Portugal. I'm from this, that, and the other. Only people I hear that wrestle with going back to, I don't know if I'm trying to go to Africa. You be safe over there now. And you don't hear nobody, be safe over there in London and be safe over there in Paris. It's like, oh, I can't wait to get there. Oh, I can't wait to be there. Oh, I can't wait to, and even the voice level, to grown men with deep voices, oh, got to, they take it to another level when you start talking about those European destinations. That's why we quote water. I can't wait to share this. I might drop it tomorrow. He was talking about that's why he said when he learned about the Congo, he said at that point I don't even understand why the people want to go visit Belgium because of what all. And then he said, oh, it's so long ago. Oh my goodness! When I hear people say that, I'm like, look, you smoking the same crack that the people talking about this talking about the slave trade didn't happen, and to think that for a minute that this stuff has ended, the brutality, the whippings and the beatings and all of that may have stopped, but the systems are still in place. And so sometimes you can beat down a group of segment of the world population to a point where they don't even question anymore. They just, ha, 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 ha. Can't we all just sing and be happy and get along? Of course, that's what they'll tell you because now they're getting all your resources, got you still working like a slave and put you in debt to the point where you're still working like a slave. And of course, everybody wants you to sing kumbaya and all of that. Don't educate, don't say anything, don't talk too much because you get to talking too much. People get to waking up and open their eyes and they get tired. People get tired of being played. And so there's always going to be those one or two or three that's going to wake up and say, nah, we got to do better than this. And so that's what you see happening across, just across the board. People are tired. People want to explore. People want to see. People want to learn. There's so much information for them to consume, and that's the journey that you see me on. And it's an unapologetic journey. It's like, look, if somebody doesn't like what I have to say, okay. I mean, you don't have to watch what I'm saying. But I did an interview tonight, and I was telling the people, I said the advantage of where I am now is there's a level of freedom that I have. I know what it's like to be in systems of oppression. Um, Even within, it's almost like uh, you, and just kind of understand like the Black American deal. We've dealt with psychological oppression, religious oppression, financial oppression, and what was the other one? Cultural oppression or something. It was education oppression. And this is not to make somebody out to be a victim, because I can hear that person, oh, you're being a victim. No, no, no. Just the realities of it. Unresolved traumas, unresolved financial situations. You had Tulsa that burned out a whole city, but it wasn't just Tulsa. You had Wilmington, you had Richmond, you had all these places where they build it and destroy things. What's the lady? Amber Ruffin, I think that's her name, did a really great piece on the cities under lakes. So you have people that have had financial catastrophes happen that they have not bounced back from, and for generations. And so basically their financial infrastructure was destroyed. And so the people still trying to come up from that. But then you still dealing with what type of psychological effect do you think that had on those families? When people were killed and wiped out. Now we can't relate to it because we're thinking in terms of 19 whatever, I guess the oldest age of people, probably in the 1930s or somewhere around there. We're thinking from the 1930s on, and then most of us are 1960s, 50s, 60s on, and we're thinking from that context because we haven't had everything destroyed. We've kind of lived in a very sheltered time period where the majority of our issues are dealing with police brutality. We're dealing with a level of discrimination, but by and large, we've lived through a very peaceful existence in America. That's why I tell people all the time, I say, America's not quite as bad as what you might think of on the news. I said, because throughout any given day, there are hundreds of thousands of interactions with law enforcement on different levels. And I said, so by and large, that is not happening to that extent every day. I said, I don't want to paint the picture like we're just living over there in just chaos 24/7 because of one segment of the population or some bad apples. Now, the system in and of itself is jacked up, and we know that because even going back to the Constitution that the colonizers put in place, it's already jacked up. But when you start really getting to the nuts and bolts of how we live in America, we really live, depending on where you live, because there's some areas that you live, it's like a war zone. But by and large, where Black people live in America is not war zones. I mean, if that were the case, you'll see people running out of there, but you got still 43 million. Still, you might have some people, I got to get out of America. But really the truth of the matter is that even if you had 3 million leave, you still got 40 million that's going to stay because it's not that bad in the majority of America. Again, I'm not speaking on a micro level because there are some areas that are very bad and some areas that people do need to move out of. But with that, we got people outside making noise. But with that, I say all of that to say that I encourage everybody to see for yourself. And every time somebody sees for themselves, it leaves an impression. If you have the right group of people taking you, if you have people who are not experiencing this, who are looking at it as a hustle and they're just trying to get people to come and they're trying to funnel people through and just make money off of them, then they're not going to prepare you for this trip. And then you'll be surprised. If you go, and that's one of the reasons why when you see people at the end of these tours and they talk about their experience, they see the care that they received throughout the process. Because for me, it's not about the money, it's about the experience. And I recognize that if people have a good experience, then they go back and tell somebody else, and they tell somebody else, and the narrative begins to change. If they're just on a tour, then they're a tour. That's it. But if they're here to be able to have that experience, then that's exactly what happens. And that's what you see in the interviews. I have some interviews I'm about to drop with the three amigos. That's about to happen. Let me see. I might drop tonight. I don't know. I might drop it tonight. We'll see. We'll see. It's like 10:30 here. I still got to pack. I got bags and bags and bags. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Again, I encourage everybody to see for yourself, be a part of this, and really embrace the truth. Because I'm telling you, y'all get to listening to them people. And the only reason why I address those people is not for me because I'm good, but I know that they have an audience, and I know that I know how easily minds can be swayed if they don't have someone to challenge what's going on, and the only people who have this issue like this to the extent are people who are descendants of that particular slave trade. I haven't spent time on the Arab side to see how it's affected the Arab slave trade and people descendants of that. And some of us are descendants of both, just depending on where the migratory patterns ended up. But I can tell you that I can tell you that what people are being peddled, if you're not intentional about learning stuff for yourself, your whole worldview will be shaped by someone else, and that's the bottom line. And people can tell it to you the way they want to tell it to you. And because I'm a creator, I'm creative, and I create videos and skits and tell stories, I know how easy it is to shift it to go one way or the other, and that's what people do in the studio because they can do that. What I'm saying to you is you go see for yourself. And if someone asked a question, like, where are the slave ships? We don't have any record of the slave ships. Then what I would say is, well, where are the European ships? People were not treated. It wasn't like they just said, okay, let's bring this ship for these wonderful slaves that we're going to take to the New World. Half the time they would be in the same ships the Europeans were on, and then and treated like cargo. And so it wasn't like it was. And then you have to think, most built out of wood. How would that wood hold up after all of these years? Why would somebody want to preserve it? So the reason why, and some people would want to preserve it, but you just start thinking to yourself, the decay of the wood. It wasn't, a lot of times, once it was quote unquote made illegal, they'd be burning them up. You have lies that have been told. You have all types of things. They're trying to already suppress the history. And again, I say this, do not be surprised if it comes out later that the people who are pushing these theories have been paid by certain governments. Don't be surprised. And someone equated that whole movement to like the QAnon, like it's about as crazy as a QAnon. I mean, really, because you just hear it and you're like, and anybody can take this little piece right here and put this little piece together and try to make you say this. And then if there's one little thing, now you're like, oh yeah. But then you don't stop long enough to say, but what about this? But what about that? And so have you been there? Have you gone? Have you done this yet? Where have you gone on that side? And then they'll come, well, I don't need to go. See, anytime somebody says, but I don't need to go, they're saying to you, I don't mind staying ignorant, or I don't mind not being able to back up my argument. Because if I had an argument that was going out like that, I would go to the places. I would go in and say, this is why this is false. This is why this is wrong. And I'm not talking about reading somebody's book. Okay. Well, so-and-so said, no, I would go stand in the place and say, this right here is not what this is. This right here is not what this is. And all of the after effect of this is not what it is. And see, that's what you're not going to find people doing, because after a while, it's going to start looking absolutely 100% crazy, because then people say, wait a minute, I know where I came from. I know this. I know that. This is what the deal is. And then and the other part of it is, it's so easy to discredit and just blow out of the water. You just start putting the genetics on it. And now, of course, they'll try to discredit the genetics, but that's to create confusion, to make sure that those slave minds continue to stay and make the money for the system that enslaved them. That's really what the end game of that whole thing is. You stay put right here and keep working, making us billions and trillions of dollars. And don't you worry about whatever else is going on out here. You stay put right here and keep making this money for us. That's really what's at the bottom of all of that. Identity is the emotional part, but the real part of it is, this is how we keep these slaves on this plantation working and making us money. Create confusion, which causes paralysis or a disinterest in learning. And then, when anything you put something out to the masses, the public as a large in general, you can put anything out to the public in general. And if you get enough people persuading people to listen and believe and follow and go with it, then they're just going to go with it, because they don't have enough strength within themselves to be able to stand up to it and say, wait a minute, I hear what you're saying. And you made a point right there. But I just can't. You got to break that down for me a little bit more. And at some point they're going to get stuck. If you have the knowledge yourself to be able to challenge it and come back and say, hey, I hear what you're saying, and that sounds good, but have you been here to see this? Have you been among this? So that's why I say it's so important for you to know for yourself. And then that way somebody can come along and get you twisted. So, all right. So anyway, that's the deal. If you would like to join us this fall, go to MaximumImpactTravel.com. We're going to have a great time. October and November. We're going to be back here in Ghana. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. When I get back to the States, you can follow my journey from Richmond to Jamestown to Windsor, North Carolina, to Charleston, South Carolina, to Savannah, Georgia. I'll take you on that journey and how it all ties right back here to the west coast of Africa. And I got some really good interviews I'm working on right now. I want to see if I can sit down with my Aunt Betty and have a conversation with her. Oh, man. She's one of a kind, and it's my father's sister. So I'm gonna sit down and see if we can have a conversation with her. I got some folks in South Carolina I'm working to sit down and have a conversation with, and I want to take you to some Gullah Geechee. I'm gonna get you show you the red rice and the okra soup. And I know a lot of y'all don't like okra because he said it looked like snot. I got you. But the way they cook it down there in South Carolina, you forget that it looked like snot. You forget it. You just like, it's just good snot. I don't know. You just like, so, and I don't want to tell you too much, but just know it's going to be a wonderful experience. And I don't plan on doing any tours, like public tours, unless it really becomes something that they say they want to know or want to be a part of. And we'll do that eventually. But right now, it's a personal tour. And we'll tie it all right back here to the west coast of Africa and other parts of Africa. And so get ready for that. Make sure you subscribe to Maximum Impact with Jay Cameron. Make sure you share this video. Share it with some of the crack smokers. They're like, see, that's not nice. You shouldn't say that. I just got to call it how I see it. Sometimes things are warrant the crack smoke label. And don't forget to pick up The Adventures of Darren and Destiny. That's the children's book series. And I said I'm going to have to write another book about Ghana after all of this. I'm going to have to write another book about Ghana after this latest adventure. I'm going to be sharing those videos with you. I'm quite the adventures here in Ghana. So anyway, stay tuned for more. We got more videos coming. Interview with Walter Meyer is going to be dropping soon, as well as the 3 Amigos. That video is going to be dropping soon. Got all kinds of content coming your way. So let's do what we need to do. Keep spreading the word, and let's continue to keep shining the spotlight on the African diaspora. Talk to you soon.
Open up your eyes and see.